Good morning, cadets. Hope you are doing well. We are in the fag end of this chapter, that is almost concluding of chapter number 2. Page wise or volume wise, it's a big chapter with a lot of things to learn. So in the last class we were discussing about setting up of administration, means how the British East India Company started introduction of several reforms in the administrative system. Lord Warren Hastings introduced the system of administration in India with a lot of policies and programs. The one such which we studied last class about division of the territories in India into 3 presidencies, that is Bengal Presidency, Bombay Presidency and Madras Presidency. So British divided the territories into under 3 presidencies, and head of each presidency was called as governor, and supreme head of East India Company in India called as Governor General. So that was the last class explanation in brief. Today let me continue from where I stopped in the last class. First one, what we have to understand that British introduced several reforms in the system of courts. So from 1772, a new system of justice was established in India. So new system of justice was introduced in India, that is introduction of or division of judiciary into 2 branches. One is criminal court and civil court. Cadets, today we have civil procedure code and criminal procedure code. Those you may be heard a sentence most of the time in the films, IPC section so and so and so. What is IPC? IPC is Indian Penal Code. So Indian Penal Code is a procedural code which explains about the punishment for the criminal cases. Like that we have civil procedure code and criminal procedure codes. We have in taluk level and district level we have separate codes for civil cases and criminal cases. In High Court and Supreme Court we have single. But today in India we have the judiciary divided into 2, that is civil cases and criminal cases. So this today's judicial system was actually started by the British by dividing the courts into criminal court and civil court. Those days criminal court was called as Fauzdari Adalat. It was called as Fauzdari Adalat, and civil court was called as Diwani Adalat. So remember the name, Fauzdari Adalat. Adalat, of course, even today the terminology is used. Fauzdari Adalat means civil court, criminal court. Diwani Adalat means civil court. Now, how the civil procedure or criminal procedure courts interpreted in India. Today, who is in the seat of judgment? That is law judges in the court. But British East India Company initially taken the help of Maulavis. Maulavi means Muslim religious teachers. So Maulavis means Muslim religious teachers, and they also took the help of Hindu Pandits. So Maulavis and Hindu Pandits interpreted means explained Indian laws for the European district collectors who presided over civil courts. So civil courts, head of civil courts those days what? District collectors. District collectors, that's why even today they are called as district magistrate. DC is called district magistrate also. So district collectors who presided over civil courts those days and supported or helped by Maulavis and the Hindu Pandits. Maulavis related to Muslim law board and Hindu Pandits related to cases related to Hindus. Criminal courts were still under Qazi and Mufti, but under the supervision of collectors. Qazi and Mufti, heads of criminal courts. They were the heads of criminal courts, but they were also under the control of collectors. So please write down. Qazi means judge. Mufti, a jurist of Muslim community responsible for expounding new law that Qazi would administer. So supporting in the justice. Impeachment, of course, this word is even today we are using. Impeachment is nothing but a trial of the House of Lords. What is House of Lords now? In India, we have a parliament which is called Sansad. In Indian Parliament, we have two houses. Can you name? Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. Like that, in the British Parliament also, there are two houses. One is called House of Lords and second one is called House of Commons. So House of Lords and House of Commons are the two houses of British Parliament. House of Commons and House of Lords, the two houses of British Parliament. Like in India we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So trial by the House of Lords in England for charges of misconduct brought against a person in House of Commons. That is called impeachment process. Impeachment process in the simple sense way, if you want to remove a person from power due to charges against him. Charges means, for example, corruption charges. Then the entire procedure of removing person from power is called as impeachment procedure. Even today in India we have this system of impeachment can be used against judges of Supreme Court and High Court and even against the President of India, the impeachment procedure. So Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of India, when Warren Hastings went back to England in 1785, Edmund Burke accused him of being personally responsible for misgovernment of Bengal. This led to impeachment proceedings. The British Parliament lasted for 7 years. You see, Lord Warren Hastings, the Governor General of India, when he reached back to England, he was accused, means a complaint was charged on him that he is responsible for misgovernment in Bengal province, and because of that he should be impeached. And this impeachment procedure with the British Parliament lasted for 7 years. A major problem was that Brahmin Pandits gave interpretations to local law based on the different schools of Dharma Shastras. Now, what is Dharma Shastra is nothing but religious books. To bring about uniformity in 1775, 11 Pandits were asked to compile a Hindu law. N.B. Halit translated this digest into English, and in 1778 Code of Muslim Law was compiled for the benefit of European judges. Under the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court was established in India, while the Court of Appeal, that is Sadar Nizamat Adalat, was set up in Calcutta. So you may be heard of Regulating Act. So Regulating Act of 1773 responsible for birth of Supreme Court in India, and the Court of Appeal was called Sadar Nizamat Adalat, which was set up in Calcutta. That's the reason why today, whenever a lot of political discussions are going on, then you may be heard about Common Civil Code. Today we have a separate code of conduct for Muslims and Hindus, especially in the case of civil cases. So here it is very clearly said that 11 Hindu Pandits were asked to finalize Hindu law, and Muslims were asked to finalize Muslim law, and after completion of that it was handed over to European judges. That's the reason why we have separate civil procedure codes. I repeat, civil procedure codes, not the criminal procedure code. The principal figure in Indian district was collector. That is same even today. As the side title suggests, that his main job was to collect revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in the district with the help of judges. So today DC generally responsible for the same, that is maintenance of law and order and administration in the state. Of course today he is supported by SP, that is Superintendent of Police. So those days collector has to maintain law and order in a district. Not only that, he should also collect revenue and taxes from his domain, and is helped by judges and police officers to make administration easy. His office, that is called collectorate, became the new center of power and patronage, and steadily replaced the previous holder of authority. Even today you see district headquarters, that is collectorate office. Even today collectorate office or a district headquarters is of course very powerful center of administration, because entire administration of district is done in a place of where district collector's office is there. So this system of administration, what today we are seeing, that was introduced by the British in India. Now let us understand about introduction of changes in the army. The colonial rule in India brought some new ideas of administration and reforms, but its power rested in the military strength. The Mughal army mainly composed of cavalry. Cavalry means the trained soldiers on horseback, and infantry, that is paidal. They were given training of archery and use of sword. Cavalry dominated the army, and Mughal state did not feel the need to have large professionally trained infantry. Rural areas had a large number of armed peasants, and local zamindars supplied paidal soldiers to them. What this entire paragraph explains? This entire paragraph explains that what today we are seeing, that recruitment to the defense forces. Today we have a procedure called recruitment, and we are trained soldiers and officers in the Indian defense forces. During the Mughal period, because of course today we use lot of technology in the war because of machineries and all, but those days war was not had such a sophisticating use of weapons. So there were less number of infantry or paidal soldiers. Then who helped the Mughals during the war? It is zamindars, because farmers, those who do a lot of work in the farming, naturally they are physically well built. So these farmers, they are supplied as paidal soldiers to the Mughals during the war. Now, British were not comfortable with this system. That's why they introduced a different system of administration in the field of military. A change occurred in 18th century when Mughal successor states like Awadh, Benares started recruiting peasants into their armies and training them as professional soldiers. The East India Company adopted a new method when it began recruitment for its own army, and which came to be known as Sipahi Army. So this is, you please remember this word, because later we are going to study about Sipahi Mutiny. Okay, so British started recruiting soldiers from India, and the recruited soldiers from India called as Sipahi. So Sipahi Army. What is Sipahi Army? Sipahi Army means, from Indian word Sipahi means soldier. As warfare technology changed after 1820s, the cavalry recruitment of company's army was declined. This is because of the British Empire was fighting in Burma, Afghanistan, Egypt. So British simultaneously they were capturing territories in Burma, Afghanistan and Egypt, where soldiers used what? Muskets and matchlocks. The soldiers of the company army had to keep pace with the changing military requirement, and infantry regiments now became more important. So because of the changing condition, the Indian soldiers or the Sipahis were forced to adopt themselves in a changed training scenario. Please write down the meaning. Dharma Shastras means Sanskrit texts prescribing social rules and codes of behavior. Sawar, men on horse. Muskets means heavy gun used by the infantry soldier. What is matchlock? An early type of gun in which the powder was ignited by a match. Actually, matchlock is a gun, of course, used by the gunpowder. shell or bullet is not was not used at that time. So that is meaning of matchlock. This is a Sawar in Bengal painting. So let us conclude the chapter. Thus, English East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. So English East India Company landed in India as a trading company and ended as colonial power. The arrival of new steam in technology and the early 19th century aided the process. Till then, it would have taken anywhere between 6 to 8 months to travel to India by sea. But introduction of steamships reduced the journey time from 3 weeks, enabling Britishers and families come to far off countries like India. Now you so understand what the advantage of steam engine or steamship. Earlier they used to take 6 months to travel because of the, of course, wind ships were used those days, means ships were guided with the power of wind. Now because of steamships, hardly the journey time was just 3 weeks. As a result, several Britishers they started visiting India. In 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of territory in India and 78% of population of Indian subcontinent. Combined with its direct influence on the remaining territory, the population of the country, the East India Company had virtually whole India was under its control. So East India Company landed in India as a trading company. Finally, the entire India, whole India was under the control of British East India Company. So this is about chapter number 2. In the next class, of course, I'll introduce one more chapter. Please complete the question and answers related to the chapter. Thank you.